Everybody. I'm going to demo the Swim Bike Run Speeds app on the iPad. Here we go. You just go into the Swim Bike Run Speeds. You can see that on the left-hand side you have a number of users. An update to this version is basically having the ability to add multiple users and manipulate them. And basically all the workouts and everything are all separated per user. On the right-hand side, you can see the calculation area where the calculations are made, and also history. I'll just go into each one step by step. So all users, basically if you want to edit a user, you can click on the edit button and you can delete them from here. Or if you want to delete a user, you can just swipe and delete it. If you want to edit the user, edit the user's name, just click on edit and click on the user, and you can edit the user here. Just go into each one of these settings as well. Setting is basically you can add more functionality to the app itself. If you go in here, you can add that functionality there. Calorie calculation for each user, it has a calorie calculation based on that user. So if I go into there, you can see that each user has its own details for the calorie calculation. Each one of these is required. So for this user, you can set the gender, the birth date, whatever you want it to be, whatever it is, the weight of the athlete, and then to calculate the max heart rate, you have a certain number of formulas that are set. So you can select the formula to use, or you can hard code the max heart rate. If you know it, you can calculate it there. To calculate the average heart rate, there's two different formulas that can be used. Both use the average intensity. The average intensity is the intensity of the workout of the event that you are doing. You can set this to anything you want. It is defaulted to 70%, 70% of average intensity. If you know your resting heart rate, you can use this calculation to put in your resting heart rate. And then the average heart rate and the VO2 max is all calculated. Just like the max heart rate, you can actually hard code these values if you know them, and they won't use the formulas above. So click on save. That's saved to that user's profile. Two more settings is decimal defaults. Decimal defaults is basically a global decimal setting. Throughout the app, you can see that it has a number of decimals that are set for each variable or each field, I guess. And if you set it here, it'll be saved, and throughout the app, you'll see that the decimals will be set. History refined. For the history, you can actually sort and filter the history. So if you want to default filter on date, you can do multiple filters, multiple sorts, that is. And then the filters is basically if you only want to see swim sports in the history, you could set the filter there. To clear the filter, you can just actually click on the clear button. More information, you'll see this information button throughout the app. And it'll go to this page, which was basically all the settings I just went over. And then more information. So the help is going to have all the tutorials for the app, any help you need. Comment or question, you can actually send me an email or our website or via the website. Rate or review will basically rate this app on the Apple iTunes Store. Share is basically you can share this via email or SMS. And about, you can actually take a look at our other apps or our website. Okay, so if we go back to the user, if you want to cancel, if you're done editing and you don't want to save the details, you can click on cancel or save it. I'll click on cancel, and you can see how the user that's selected has a checkbox by it. You can see over here on the right hand side it has Tim Swim and Tim History, so there's no question of which user you're using. You can see how I select each user and they change. Okay, So going into the calculation area, so for the swim, bike, run, there's 3 different areas that you can do calculation for. Right now, basically, we for the update to this app, we gave you the ability to change how calculations are made. So currently, distance and time are locked, and pace and speed are unlocked, so they're in red. So if I do a calculation, you can see how whatever's in red is being changed, is being calculated. So if I know the time and pace, and I want to calculate the distance and speed, I just unlock each one of those details and do calculate, and it'll calculate that information. So let's say I know my pace is in yards, a 100-yard pace. You can see how the distance and speed are changed at the time. Okay. Calories, we talked about this before, is basically if you want to configure your calories for each event that you do, you can click on that and you can change it here. So say for this event I worked pretty hard, I did it at 85% intensity. Click on save and do a calculate. You can see my calories just went up just a bit. Okay. For each event you can change the date, so you can do this in the past or the future. That could be used for history. It's an option for you. So for bike and run, you can see the only differences are the options you have below for the distance, pace, and speed. So for each one of those events, or each section, you have each event. So for the running, you have half marathon, but for the bike, you can get into the half Ironman. So each one of these selections, you can see how the distance changes. Okay. And for the swim, I have multiple different event distances, basically defaults. Okay. Down here you can see the history. You can actually refine the history, which is why I talked about that filter. So let's say I'm going to go into Tim's because it has each one of the sports. I'll refine it and say I only want to see the bike. Click save. You see only bike history here. Okay. If you want to edit this history, you can just click on that box on the event and change the event as is. Click on save. It'll basically bring it back. You can see how that each one that's in red is being calculated. So for this event, the time and speed was unlocked. So those are 2 that are going to be calculated. If I were to change this and calculate again, calculate again, and click on save, you can see that the pace and speed are now red. Okay. If I want to see all the history again, just click on show all, and that'll show all the history. There's a few ways you can get to the history section. Basically more detail of the history. To export the history, you can click on this history tab button, or you can click on this organized file. You can see that it has all the history just like in the previous screen. You can refine it here, do a sort by date, and then if you want to export the history, you can export it to this. It has all the details that were on the previous page. Right here you could sort each one of these columns by just clicking the title. And now once that sort is set, you can export it. You can export it just via email, or you can include a comma separated Excel file. So if I bring up the email, you can see the Excel file's attachment, and you can see my screenshot of even with the sort. Okay. Okay. So let's say I want to export just the swim, my swim events. Click on save. It'll have my swim events, and I can export it from here. You can see that on multiple different pages has this info button. Like I said before, it's just going to take you to the settings and info page. I didn't talk about this. Over here on the users, you have rate and more. Rate is to rate the app, and then more is to add on additional functionality. Also, this app has orientation. So if you rotate your view, you can see that it has a bigger view of the history and calculations. To switch the users, just click on users and it'll switch the users for you. Okay. Also, I didn't show you in history, you can actually edit and delete. You can delete these events just by clicking on edit and delete, or you can swipe and delete. Okay. All right, that's about it for the Swim Bike Run Speeds iPad app. If you have any questions, please send me an email or visit the website. You can also send me a comment or question via this app using email or my website. Thank you very much.